Welcome to the Redbeard Embodiment Podcast. I am your host, Alex Green, and I'm on a mission to bring the power of embodiment to people all around the world. In this podcast, we explore how embodiment practices, trauma healing, and knowledge about the human nervous system can help us find our ground, discover new sources of meaning, and create connection in an ever-changing world. The deepest change is embodied change.
All right. Well, I have the big pleasure and honor to be sitting down with Captain Rob Cefoli today. Rob is almost 20-year member of the FDNY New York Fire Department, where he serves as the director of health and fitness in the academy there. And Rob and I connected because he and some other firemen have been learning TRE this past year, tension and trauma releasing exercises, and it's been making an impact for them personally, and then even within some of the at the station. So this is a chance just to hear what you've been learning, Rob, from your TRE experience so far, and kind of where you're heading with it. Thanks so much for taking time.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. It's been
awesome.
Great so far.
What station are you at today? Where are you right now?
So currently working at the Fire Academy, and I'm also company commander for engine company in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Great.
Bounce back and forth.
And let's not forget. So father of four, and your newest one is what? Maybe
10 weeks.
6, 8. How many?
10 weeks now. Yeah.
All right. Very cool.
So that's been a hurdle. Getting back to reality after the pregnancy, right? The birth, and it's a lot. It's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's a lot.
To say that much.
Yeah, awesome. Well, so tell us just a little bit about, kind of how TRE came on your radar. I think it was through Adrian. But yeah, what was the connection? Yeah,
so TRE was introduced to me personally through one of my lieutenants, and a friend of mine, a colleague, Adrian Caban. He was already in the process, or has taken a course in the past through a provider. And I'm not sure if he finished that or something happened with the provider, but it kind of fell to the wayside a little bit. And this year, I've been dealing with some injuries every year, pretty much the last 5 years in a row.
Right.
Different things, not really connecting the dots, which ultimately was the stress was the root cause, of everything, we all know now. Right. And so I got back up to the previous class, and Adrian was a lieutenant of mine in the unit. And basically diagnosed me with stress, and that was the root cause of my issues and pain that I was having. So, okay. We looked at a few different options, and he mentioned the trauma release exercises, and, we started to do a little bit of that post-workout when we were training. And I started to, I would say probably, and I spoke to this earlier, probably about 7 to 10 days, I committed to just doing about 10 minutes a day. Okay. And it was like a 50% improvement in how I was feeling.
And I'm trying to remember, was it kind of like a back injury, or what was?
Well, yeah, I had thought it was herniation, to be honest, with how bad I was with sleeping, with just moving, getting up and down out of chairs, getting out of the car.
Right.
A lot of pain and tension in the lower back, in the hip girdle, just like really. No, I couldn't figure it out. And for months I was trying to do like yoga and, foam rolling and doing all these other things and trying to figure out a way to, I had to like kind of back off training. I couldn't run. I couldn't squat. I was getting worse.
Yeah.
And that was probably from early February. And I remember a day I was working and it kind of like really was like a rough day for me at work. And then I was like, all right, let me take a couple of days off. And normally when you do that, things start to unravel. You feel a little better, right? You take it back a notch, and then you're able to move forward again. But this seemed to be something that lasted. It was not like opening up for me. And it was like week after week. And then it was like a month. And then it was like 2 months. And I'm like, I got to get out of the firehouse. It was even hard for me to put my gear on. I couldn't bend forward. I couldn't get my socks on without, really manipulating myself. It was excruciating at points. Sleep was going down the tubes. Couldn't really sleep well. Couldn't move. I have young boys, and very active, and that was a problem at home as well. And just trying to move around and just be the guy I normally am, which is just doing everything. Like that's the personality I have. Like whether I'm home or at work, I'm just constantly moving, and this basically stopped me in my tracks. So I didn't want to go sick because I was out previously with a neck injury the summer before last year, like August. And that was a few months out, and I had a couple of bulging discs and her, I thought that was a little worse, but it wound up getting some PT and stuff with Adrian again, helped me with some protocols and getting myself back. But, diagnosing that, he kind of looked back and he was like, you got a lot going on. You have to look back at what happened over the last few years. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I got some stress, and I've had some trauma on the job throughout my career, and I'm 19 years in, so you see a lot of things, you're involved in a lot of situations, and when you look at it from that lens, you start to say, well, okay, this happened and that happened, and I've been through this for this many years, and then all of a sudden I get this injury and that injury, and like, well, you know what, maybe it's like all relative, so I kind of went that route. I said, okay, how can I address stress in my body and tension,
right?
Initially, in the surface trauma release exercise was just there to help me, feel better. It was actually making just things open up, in the body, so I can move better. I can start getting my training back in order, because I didn't feel.
And you're saying within what'd you say, a week or two, that was kind of like 50%.
Like it was like a week where I did it maybe 2 or 3 days, and then the next week I was like, all right, I'm going to do it every day. And then after that week, it was like the weekend, and then it was like 2 or 3 more days, and I was like, wow, I could really feel a difference. And it wasn't like long sessions. It wasn't a lot of it. And it was really just a surface level knowledge. We didn't go in depth. We weren't trained yet. We didn't have any education. I just kind of like, I trust my guys. And when they tell me something, that's like, even though like I'm like the tip of the spear in the unit, or the unit head, they call it, or the leader, captain, I need help too. It's not just, I don't have all the answers. I just kind of, I run this unit. I have to make sure everything works. I had this position for a few years. Involved in the health and fitness unit for about 5 years. So I've dealt with candidates and other people, but like when it comes to yourself, a lot of times you're just always, giving out more than receiving, right? So it's hard for us, especially as firefighters, to get the help that we need, and it especially with counseling and things like that. So now that the door opened, I start to feel the difference. We explored a little more, and this is one of the trainings that usually every year we like, all right, what can we train our staff on? What can we get involved with to help our membership and help the people that we deal with every day? We deal with a lot of candidates and probationary firefighters, and we deal with our members that have injuries and stuff like that and issues. And in this time, it seems like this was working for me, so that I had that aha moment. So we pushed this forward a little bit. We tried it out with going a little deeper. We got in touch with Dr. Cefoli, and then it kind of unfolded that way.
Right. Yeah. Very cool. Well, so was it sometime in the summer? I can't remember what month, July or August or June. That's when Dr. Cefoli came, and he did. What did he spend 2 or 3 days with your unit?
Yeah, we got him in, and I think it was June, and we had a 3-day intensive, and it was full days. We had a small group. Six of our staff. We had an EMS trainer as well from their academy that we brought in to keep the synergy there, because they're dealing with similar issues on their end. And we had a great experience. Initially, we had Dr. Cefoli had his initial plan, and then once he realized the group that he had in front of him and the knowledge level that we do have, we basically had just more of a fine-tuned daily operating.
He prides himself on tailoring for the particular audience that he's working with.
It worked out great. We had really in-depth sessions. We were able to get hands-on. We were able to bring some people up and use as subjects, and then from that, we had about 20 people, I'd say, that in those 3 days that experienced TRE, like in depth, and the feedback we got was like overall overwhelmingly like a success. A lot of positive feedback. We have a lot of good testimonials from that. So we knew we had
so you kind of already shared. Well, there was the physical side of helping with that injury stuff. Did
Mhm.
you also feel that you got some, like, for you yourself, has it been helpful from a stress reduction perspective, or have there been besides just the physical injury side, have you felt any benefits from it, or in working with others?
Uh, Absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think initially you notice things if you're paying attention. So I started to notice just certain feelings I was having internally, recognizing external stressors more,
Mm.
recognizing when things would bother me physically, or if there was like a situation where I'm dealing with a certain subject or person that I'd be like, it almost opened up a level of understanding about what's going on in your body.
Mm.
Um, Home life was improving, a little less snippy. What I would say is, as in the fire service, after a certain amount of time, you're and this is what we call with Dr. Baselli, is like you're disconnected because of your job. Your nervous system pulled apart. You have
Yeah.
to, right? You have two sides of your nervous system,
Yeah. You
and
have to kind of compartmentalize,
yeah,
and
you
yeah.
have to, because you can't do your job otherwise. So after a certain
Yeah.
amount of time, though, you're unable to reconnect to that if you're not doing certain things to keep it balanced, right? And we
Yeah.
don't do that. We don't use counseling. We don't, we're forced to do our stuff. So we have a fatal fire. We're put out for 2 weeks to counseling. Some
Yeah.
of the stuff might not register for months, and I
Okay.
was in a situation like that where counseling was not. I was like, these people don't know what I'm. They're
Yeah.
counseling.
It
They have
wasn't.
no idea
It
what I'm.
wasn't connecting to what you needed.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
you bury it, or you do, you hurt yourself, alcohol, whatever, and like we have these issues throughout the service, because
Yeah.
it happens, and then we have issues at home because we're not able to go from fireman Rob to dad or to husband, and
Totally.
this is it's a recurring theme, because I think a lot of people can relate, where you're cold, you're numb,
Yeah.
and that's just because you're disconnected. And when you
Yeah.
get home, you're not able to transition back.
Right.
And I've gotten that over my life, through my wife. I'm had an ex-wife, divorce. Like it's just
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
realize that there's that something going on with you. You think, oh, it's just the way I am, or I have to be. I mean, you kind of know, like I know I have to be this way because of my job, or it makes me this way, but you don't really understand
Right.
exactly what's happening to you. So once
Yeah.
you get a little more educated, which this course, the education component really hit
Yeah.
home to a lot of us, and
Yeah.
and
That's what I was going to ask. Like, when with, learning TRE, part of what we cover is, learning about the autonomic nervous system and how, we can get stuck in hyper arousal, sort of, go, 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 but then we can swing into the freeze response or hypo arousal, where we're not really available to connect in the social engagement nervous system, all the polyvagal kind of stuff, which, as I hear you describing the nervous system demands of the kind of work you do, but then how the toll that it takes in a home environment, not being able to just switch back into the social engagement nervous system. But yeah, it made me wonder if learning about the nervous system, did that sort of speak to you? Does that sort of, was that valuable for you to kind of get a little bit of that theory?
it was very valuable. It was something that it was like you knew what was going on, but you really could finally put your finger on it. If that makes
Okay.
sense. Like, I'm trying to be very plain speak, because that's how I
Yeah.
how I how I am.
Yeah.
But it really was like, okay, I get what's going on in my body now. I get what this is going to do for me. Let me continue to do it. And as I did it, again, emotional feelings that you don't have. Again, we're not available in the firehouse to be like, oh, like I'm sad about this, or I'm super.
Touchy feely. Yeah.
You're just constantly just like, ragging
Right.
on each other. Then you're going on emergencies, you're coming back, and like it's a coping mechanism, and
Yeah.
it's a safe place for us because we're all in the kind of the same mode, but we can't be vulnerable, and you're not
Right.
allowed to show like these emotions. Also, besides the any traumas or any sleep deprivation you have, all those other things that come into play, but it's not
Yeah.
a place that you're gonna go and like, get somebody like you can cry on somebody's shoulder like, oh, this affects me so bad.
Right. Not the
Maybe
culture, not the
oh,
environment.
go scratch or something, like, shake it off, or like make a joke, and then we bury it, and we bury a lot of stuff, and for 19 years or 20 years, you bury it, and then it's like, what do I
Yeah.
do with this? Like, and who am I again, and is this you really me or not? So at home with young kids and even my daughter, you know, who's a little older, she was able to connect more. Like I was able to engage with them a little bit more. I was noticing
Yeah.
it. It was
Yeah.
it was really like, wow, like I'm actually genuinely happy about this moment right now, rather than laughing about something and not. It's like
Really feeling it. Yeah.
well, yeah, not. I don't know. Like, it's sad to say, but like, I want to be like that person, but like, you can't access it, and
Got
then you
it.
realize, wow, I can access it. You know,
Wow.
started
Yep.
to, and I'm like, wow, that's a big difference. And you're noticing because you're paying attention more. Like, how do I feel about certain things that are going on in the day? And am I getting
Right.
stressed out? Am I getting happy? Do I feel love and empathy? What are all these emotions
Right.
that supposedly we have that you never
Right.
experienced in your like the last 15 or 20 years because they got dismantled from your
Kind of pushed
the
away.
operation. Yeah, now you're just this person that just kind of, as long as you can like do your tasks, you're okay.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's hard to shift into the other side because you don't know if like, am I being like, is this, am I not macho now? Am I not, going to
Yep.
be good at my job? Am I not going to be tough anymore? Like,
Yep.
it's kind of like that's how I perceived it.
Yep. Yep.
But also at home, you're trying to be a better father and husband because you're
Mm.
hearing the feedback
Yeah.
about how nasty you are, or how you're quick to yell, or you're not emotional, you don't show
Right.
affection.
Sure.
These are all things that um, are part of what happens to us in the
I
service.
see.
And I
Yeah.
think that most people that have been are on long enough, and anybody hearing this, they could probably attest to that, or
Right.
probably have gotten that from their spouses or from their family members. Like, because you're not the same as a regular civilian after a certain amount of time, or if there's somebody just has trauma in general, like there's going to be an issue somewhere.
Yeah.
So this resonated because we don't talk about it, and this is a way to do it without talking. Like, you just
Yeah.
get to do this
Right. Goes
procedure.
straight to the body and the nervous system. So, yeah, well, no. So to me, that was such a good description of how after the physical sort of things, those other effects in terms of more often feeling able to connect, and those examples of being to connect with your family are just everybody wants that as much as possible. So that's so cool. But I, as you've now introduced it a bit into the department, and you've worked with, the trainees and other firemen and whatnot, I sometimes think, TRE is it's a little strange. How's it been received? How do you get the people's buy-in to try this weird thing?
Is weird is the word, right? Everybody uses that's weird. That's weird, and that's I think we all said it in the beginning. Like, that was a weird experience, or what goes
Yeah.
on. But we had some good feedback initially from the training and through the support of the people that volunteered. Like, that was a big first step for us. It opened a lot of eyes. We were
Yeah.
able to share it with some of the higher ups. We had opportunities to share with the fire commissioner, with the chief of department, chief of the fire academy, have them understand and go
Yeah.
through a session or two, just random basically, and like we had opportunities that presented, and we were able to do that on the spot. And we were also fortunate to be able to be involved in a resiliency day, which was back in November, and that was set up through family assistance, and they deal with a lot of the World Trade Center guys that are sick and their families, and getting them to and from appointments, and helping the families out.
Sure.
And they do a lot of that work. And there's nurses there, and there's the counseling service clinicians that were involved that day. And it was a kind of give back day. And we were added a little
Yeah.
bit late to that day, and they want to do a fitness session. So another opportunity I saw to use TRE in lieu of that. And we provided a session for about 25 individuals, civilian staff, and nurses and clinicians, and that went. That was it was a shot in the dark, because I know how other people were affected. I can assume that they were going to get a good response, but we never had that
Hmm.
group yet. That was like the first group we did, and I know we had discussed a little bit of that. And it wound up
Right.
working out really well. I was able to introduce what TRE was on their lunch break. It was a full day event, and
Yep.
I actually had there was two different therapies going on. It was like a yoga, and then it was like our TRE in the afternoon. And I
Right, right.
had people that signed up for one swing over, and it was interesting because I just told them the story of what how I was and what I had experienced, and just
Right.
said this is what you'll have when we do the TRE, and we'll guide you through it. And we had about, I think, another 6 or 7 that jumped into TRE, and we had like a room packed with people. And again, that was another great experience. A lot of good feedback, which we will be following up with some of the CSU people in the new year, and the World Trade Center nurses. And they handle different people, but
Yeah.
a lot of the same issues with retirees we saw,
Yeah.
and loss of, again, if you leave this job, um, you lose a lot of your community. You retire, you're kind of like, you're not at work anymore, and in that gray area afterwards, a lot of people have issues in their marriages, and they have issues at home, and they come back to see the counseling services to get help, and that's what they were relaying to us, that they're getting a lot more people now than ever. A lot of people
Yeah.
dealing with alcohol and things of that nature, and the stresses of life and society changes and all the things that happened last, let's say, three years or so, that really
Yeah.
made everybody's life a little bit upside down for a while. I look at it as also there's trauma there too. We have people that have gone through that and that are now entering the fire academy. So on the flip side, all the new people are having issues of being over sympathetic systems. They're having trouble
Hmm.
breathing, multitasking.
Yeah.
They're heightened to the point where they can fail at something very simple. And
Uh-huh.
like it's happening more and more. So you kind
Yeah,
of,
you're seeing evidence of the stress related impacts for your new trainees and
yeah.
the younger firefighters. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and with the last class that we did, we have over 300 in a class, so every seeing 600 to 700 a year
Yeah.
over and over again, and it's just the last class we noticed a lot more of it, especially Adrian being here. He was more aware of like these sympathetic issues, and
Hmm.
when we have an issue with a probie, we have to put them into EMS and kind of get vitals, and we're looking at heart rate recovery, we're looking at heart rate and breathing issues, and if they're breathing adequately, or if they're all sympathetic breathers.
Yeah, in an
Yeah,
anxiety breathing or
issues
something
with
like that.
wearing a face piece, that's going up too. So we have a lot more of the issues than we've seen in the past.
I
And
see.
I think a lot of like, it's, if you have we have a sample size of society, and I think that's what we're seeing now. And we
Yeah.
had like come up with a way. I think it was a good segue into TRE, and we tried to introduce the last class at the very end is when we finish the training. This
Yeah.
class, we're going to hopefully put it in between some of our deload weeks, which is where we do less physical training, more recovery work, and we're going to try to use that time to introduce that in this class. And then
I
also
see.
workshop styles, which in February we're doing 8-hour workshop where we're setting up for
Oh,
members
great.
right now. Yeah, right now it's through the Office of Professional Development, and they were the ones that helped us to get it approved, and then now we're rolling out starting in February. So that's exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super cool. Well, so what are your, you're obviously already making a big impact in, with the trainees and the program that you direct, you've exposed a number of other people to it through, the community outreach, the resiliency day. Where else, how else do you think that, like, how else are you hoping that TRE can serve the communities that you're involved with? Like, where might you go from here, do you think?
Well, internally, I think we're on track to just help our membership now within the New York City area, and our members. I think retirees would be the next logical place
Yeah.
to go. That's not internal to the department. And
Yeah.
I think honestly, once we have the ins and outs kind of ironed out a little bit, I think we're looking to help nationwide. I think that's a good place. I think we're
Yeah.
um, at the forefront of most training and equipment and procedures and tactics, and the FDNY, the New York City Fire Department is the largest in the country.
Right.
And just understanding that, I think we're at the front of something that can really provide relief and help for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and families, and not just fire service, all emergency service members, EMS,
Yeah.
PD. We're all kind of in the same lines, and we deal with the same issues, the same traumas that we see constantly. We're exposed to a lot of different things that normal people just don't see. And if you're, like I said, if you're on long enough, it's going to take a toll on you. And if you don't have a tool in your tool bag to address it, you might go to something self-destructive. And I've been a part of that as well in the past, and it just doesn't help, and you have to make, I've made a ton of mistakes, and I made I've taken a lot of beatings on myself by just treating myself horribly. And, I learned to use positive, mechanisms to kind of keep all that at bay. And this is just a much bigger tool that I never was able to tap into, for myself. I had relief that I wouldn't get from physical exercise. It doesn't do the same thing like that. It doesn't do the same thing, just, eating clean and not drinking. And sleep patterns are always disrupted. So that helps me with that as well. And I think, and then when I was recently going through the new baby with my wife, and we had some hard nights there, you get a little beat up, and you're not training as much, and then you're not doing TRE, and you're not doing yoga, and you're not doing all the modalities. Your body goes backwards, and I felt both sides of it, where I was improving very well on an upward trend, and also when I went away from it a little bit, how I felt. So I have now both sides of this is real. So now as I'm going back the other way, which again, we're never linear. It's always ebbs and flows, and great weeks and months. Again, that's how it is, because it never ends. You always got to continue if you want to stay in great shape and be able to manage your daily life and family and all that. So I look at it as if I feel like really, getting that tension and that stress, then I need maybe 20 minutes TRE, and that's my new go-to. If I'm going to do anything, maybe I won't train, but I'll do that, and just feel better. You just feel more at ease. You feel more relaxed. One session, even that resiliency day, and you have a quick 20-minute session, and people have immediate relief. It's nothing like nothing. I've trained people for over 20 years in private, and in the academy, you get thousands of people, and a workout's great, and you get a good sweat, and you feel good, because you get all your chemical releases. But ultimately, to have that a little bit more peace of mind, a little bit more relaxed body, where the nagging pain is relieved, after an hour or so. I was like, wow, that's why I was like, that was weird, but I feel great. And knowing that consistent use of that tool is going to yield more results, and you'll get better and better and better. And it's not, once you know how to do it, and you're acclimated and you're trained on it, it's just, it's a great tool.
Yeah. Wow. Super cool. Well, Rob, I really appreciate you taking time just to share about your experience, what it's been like for you, and how it can serve others in your profession. So really happy to sit down with you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I appreciate the work you guys are doing, and I look forward to continue our relationship, and I think we can definitely impact a lot of people going forward.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Redbeard Embodiment Podcast. To learn more, visit us at redbeardsomatictherapy.com or send me an email at alex@redbeardsomatictherapy.com. If today's conversation resonated with you, help spread the word by subscribing and sharing with others. Hope to see you next time.